Good day, everyone. Welcome to Real Conservative News. I'm your host, Nathaniel Rajkumar. Starting off locally here in Trinidad and Tobago, opposition MP and former Energy Minister Stuart Young recently accused the Kamla Persad-Bissessar administration of gross incompetence. Look who's talking about that now, boy. A warning that the shutdown of Nutrien's nitrogen operations at Point Lisas is a direct result of short-sighted gas allocation policies that prioritize immediate LNG prices over long-term industrial stability. Young argued that shifting gas supply away from Point Lisas has crippled investor confidence and threatened thousands of jobs, essentially destroying the energy sector in record time. In its rebuttal, the national gas company NGC characterized Nutrien's exit as an attempt to hold the country to ransom by demanding outdated legacy rates and refused to accept interim supply terms that were accepted by every other downstream producer. So the question remains, was this politically motivated? Was their shutdown politically motivated? Their decision to shut down? You could never know, people. The government further defended the strategy by noting that Nutrien's gas was successfully reallocated to other customers and Atlantic LNG, resulting in significant financial benefits for the public and correcting what it described as years of previous fiscal management. So if the issue was resolved, what Zami Young and the PNM Kakash media and crew complaining about? I'm telling you, they're campaigning from now for 2013. My response, the same PNM who left men to die in a pipeline and closed Petrotrain are now concerned about this issue. I wonder if Zami Young and PNM's Kakash media remember this issue a few years ago. In March 2016, ArcelorMittal Point Lisas closed its doors under the PNM administration, a move that critics and labor unions heavily blamed on the government's, failure to intervene or secure affordable gas rates. Say gas rates to the people. Okay then. But you see, people only have a very short-term memory in Trinidad. The shutdown left over 600 workers without severance, leading to widespread the condemnation of the administration for not protecting local jobs against the global steel giants' exit. Sounds familiar? You know, they're blaming the government now for certain things that are taking place when companies shutting down. All right. While the plant has since been acquired by TT Iron Steel Company Limited, the PNM remains a focus of criticism regarding the economic handling of the initial closure. Well done, Kakash Media. Twinkle your toes in anticipation of a 2030 victory for Penny, because that's exactly what they are doing. They're pushing a whole lot of propaganda, trying to stir up the PNM base, trying to encourage the PNM base that decided to stay home. 1/3 of the PNM base stayed home this time around, They're trying to encourage them to motivate them to come out and vote in 2030. The campaign has already begun, people. The election campaign has already begun. The simultaneous commissioning of the Brechin Castle Agro-Processing Facility and the National Prosthetic Center marks a significant shift toward economic diversification and social advancement in Trinidad and Tobago. Yes, people, good news. News that you will hear sometimes on the Kakash media, though. To be fair, they do report the good news as well. But they love focusing on the bad news that shines a bad light on the Kamla Persad administration. Economist Indira Sejuan contends that these institutions represent more than just infrastructure. They are the foundation for new economic clusters in agriculture and specialized healthcare. Bear in mind, this particular report wasn't from Kakash Media anyhow, it was from TTT, state-owned. By transforming raw produce into high-value exports and establishing a regional hub for rehabilitative medicine, the nation is actively working to reduce its dependence on traditional energy revenues while enhancing the quality of life for all its citizens. And this is exactly what the UNC has always been striving to do. Serve all the peoples of Trinidad and Tobago, even the tribal PNM patriots who do not like the Calcutta ship. Yes, they try to serve that population as well. But they're basically, no matter what you give the PNM patriots, they will reject you. You can give them ham, lamb, and jam, and they will still vote for yam.
And in my view, this center can form what we call the core entity around which other related healthcare initiative can emerge, and we can see the emergence of a healthcare cluster emerging in this part of Trinidad and Tobago, with the potential of generating jobs, employing doctors, because the program also speaks not just of delivering the limbs, the Jaipur limbs, but also of the training of our local healthcare professionals.
She acknowledged the strong production of food and beverages within the non-energy export manufacturing sector and expressed hope that the new facility will support smaller suppliers and work directly with farmers.
I think this initiative may go the step further in terms of working with smaller suppliers. It is my expectation that it might be linked to one of the ETech agro parks, and that there are the backward linkages directly with farmers. India is very, very heavy in terms of climate resilient agriculture, which is extremely important for a small island state like ours.
The weather for Tuesday, May 12, 2026 in Trinidad and Tobago is expected to be hot and mostly sunny. Maximum temperatures are forecasted to reach approximately 33 degrees Celsius in Trinidad and 32 degrees Celsius in Tobago. Trinidad and Tobago can expect generally sunny and breezy conditions to prevail throughout the day. There is a low chance of brief isolated showers, particularly near hilly or western areas of Trinidad. The night is expected to be mostly fair and cool. At Piarco in Trinidad, the high will be 33 degrees Celsius, which is 91 to 92 degrees Fahrenheit, and the low will be around 24 degrees Celsius, which is 75 to 77 degrees Fahrenheit. At Crown Point in Tobago, the high will be 32 degrees Celsius, and the low will be around 25 degrees Celsius. Sea levels are expected to be slight to moderate, with waves ranging from 1.2 to 1.5 meters in open waters.
Regional news now. The recent public outreach at the Arthur Chung Conference Center highlights a pivotal movement for Guyana as it transitions from the fervor of election season to a period of practical governance. And that's the thing about it. Usually, like with the PNM, after elections, they forget about all the campaign promises and just get back to eating food, forgetting about the nations and citizens and telling them to wean off the government and that better days are coming, whole strain, tighten your belts, no harm and macaroni pie. By directly engaging with citizens who braved heavy rains to seek assistance with housing and small business contracts, Vice President Dr. Bharat Jagdeo and his cabinet signaled a commitment to delivering on promises that impact the everyday lives of the Guyanese people. This face-to-face dialogue serves as a reminder that in a rapidly developing nation, the true measure of success lies in how effectively the administration addresses the individual concerns of its diverse population. I'm telling you, I keep saying this over and over again. Number one, Guyana is progressing and advancing and developing at an exponential rate. And of course, it's because of number two, President Irfan Ali's really fantastic style of governance, his leadership. He isn't perfect, people. I think that he should be standing stronger with Kamla Persad-Bissessar, Prime Minister Kamla Persad-Bissessar. I think he should be leaning more on the conservative side. I also believe he should be standing with Israel and America's war against terrorism in Iran. Putting those things aside, he is one of the best leaders in the CARICOM, body, and in this region in particular, by extension.
Some of them been living there for a while, but some of them just come recently. So we have decided, even with our Indian communities there, we said we four big settlements cost of about $5 billion. And people can then have a settled home. How in New Amsterdam? Tell me. Hold on a minute, let me give you my New Amsterdam. Yes. I'll get it. Now I'm back starting more public engagement. I'll send you it. Just WhatsApp me and I'll send you it. You're with it? Yes, all right. So I'll see you all when I come up to the Amsterdam.
You ready, sir?
Come on, if you have any issues, I'll be with it, right? And then I'll
My name is Andrew Williams, and the process, I come here today for local employment jobs. I do contracts already, and it was nice. The process today so far is very good, and the government is doing something very good. At least they're helping the smaller class of people to get contracts and at least to build themselves to a standard, and I respect that. So today I'm looking for a job.
The Watchman Church Leaders Alliance has formally welcomed the Jamaican government's initiative to amend national adoption laws and establish a structured fostering framework. By commending Education Senator Dr. Dana Morris Dixon, the Alliance characterized these legislative updates as essential progress toward securing permanent, stable homes for the country's youth, which is important, as long as it's good homes. This endorsement from the religious community underscores a collaborative effort to prioritize child welfare and suggests that the proposed reforms could significantly streamline the path to legal guardianship in Jamaica. Wonderful news. But as I said before, I hope the vetting process is thorough though. Ensure that these children don't end up in abusive homes. Acting President of the National Society of and for the Blind, Daniel Chambers, is calling on the public to be more patient and understanding toward persons living with vision disabilities. That's so true. Who continue to face many challenges in their daily lives in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Chambers, who is blind, said he felt it was important to organize a march and church service in Kingstown on Friday to raise awareness about the struggles faced by people who are blind and visually impaired. Chambers said for too long, issues affecting persons who are blind and visually impaired have not been given the priority they deserve, highlighting the urgent need for greater public awareness and support, and I will add government support, and hopefully the new administration will address this issue.
Okay, so today's day we want persons, this is a month of blindness awareness, and we want persons to advocate for the visually impaired, as we know they are marginalized and not often thought about. So this time and always, they should be always recognized. And this day is just to highlight that we do have blind persons here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we want persons to recognize our plight, our daily struggles and so forth. I want persons to recognize and don't be, shunning whether loved ones, family, friends, whatever. Lend a helping hand where you can and, advocate for them, the, access for jobs, schools and so forth. And we want persons to, for instance, even here at the blind, some persons tend to block the pathway and so forth from time to time. These things we want persons not to do, as they would hinder an event like this or even everyday business to the building.
The Barbados Employers Confederation and the government signed a historic declaration on Monday, May 11th, 2026, to commemorate the organization's 70th anniversary. That's a long time, man. This agreement reaffirms a mutual commitment to stakeholder collaboration aimed at safeguarding worker prosperity and enhancing the long-term sustainability of local businesses. By formalizing this partnership, both parties intend to strengthen the national economy through a balanced approach to labor relations and private sector growth.
It is not a commemorative gesture. It is a statement of intent, adopted on behalf of every employer member, every council representative, and every person who has contributed to the organization's success over 7 decades of work. The declaration speaks to who we are, what we have done, and most importantly, what we are committing to do next. It acknowledges the foundation laid by those who came before us. It affirms the partnerships with government, with labor, and with our regional colleagues. that have defined our approach to industrial relations. And it makes a series of commitments that we intend to be held to. We commit to advocating for an environment in which Barbadian enterprises can genuinely grow, not survive, but actually grow. There's a difference, and we definitely, as Barbados, deserves an environment where businesses can grow. We commit to the future of work conversation, not as observers, but as active participants. Digitalization, AI, changing employment structures, skill mismatches, these are not abstract things. They are the daily reality of our members. And the BEC will ensure that the employer voice in those conversations is grounded in evidence, shaped by experience, and we will do that without apology. We reaffirmed, as we have for 70 years, that Barbados' system of industrial relations built on dialogue, negotiation, and mutual respect, I'm sure Cielo likes to hear those words, that is worth protecting.
Former Prime Minister Hubert Ingram recently endorsed the government's transition towards biometric voter identification, framing the modernization as an essential evolution for the Bahamian electoral process. Speaking at the Free National Movement rally, Ingram characterized the historical reliance on paper cards as outdated compared to regional peers, suggesting that digital integration is a necessary step toward long-term efficiency. While he acknowledged that the full benefits of the system might not be realized until subsequent election cycles, his support signals a rare moment of bipartisan alignment on the technical advancement of national security and voter integrity. But if it is here now, the process is going to be digital, and you're not going to have these voter cards and stuff like that. It kind of way is not something that you could really trust that much. You see, like how America wants to go back to just paper ballots. A lot of the times when you're using this type of technology, people, it could be altered, it could be interfered with, it could be hacked. Honestly speaking, I rather buy paper ballots and so forth and walking with your real ID to present it when you're going to vote. All this technology, at times, technology is wonderful, but when I see it pertains to voting and democracy, I rather use the old-fashioned way.
We also hope this is the last election that you have to have a voter's card. You know, I've been at many places in the world as an election observer and find very backward countries have those same cards they start giving out, biometric cards, and only in the Bahamas, in the Caribbean, even Haiti got biometric cards. Only us got to carry this piece of paper around. So I hope it's the last election. We got to carry this paper around. And so I want to commend Brave and those for introducing it. It ain't gonna be very effective in this election, but by the next election, it could be very effective. And you know, one day, I know you don't agree with me, but one day I also hope I'm around long enough when we stop having to put ink on our finger to vote.
Building up of any opportunities available to young people is definitely a part of the prevention limb of the 5-pillar approach to a more secure Bahamas. The fact that you don't perform well in literacy and numeracy has been found to be a marker for potential delinquency. And so the more effort you put in providing educational opportunities, and the earlier you do it, the more likely it is that persons will get on the right path and stay on the right path. And that is why, for instance, our concentration on vocational training is so important, because if I was forced into a vocational school, I would no doubt become very frustrated as I wasn't doing that well. But the same thing happens if you force people who are vocationally inclined into an academic setting. They don't succeed. They become frustrated that they're not succeeding. I had occasion for many persons who live in the Freetown constituency to approach me in issues with their young sons who might have been in issues with the law. Once we've addressed it, of course, I then had an obligation, as I had a ministry in that area, to speak with them. I told them all the time, there is a judge who knows everything and from whom there is no appeal, and you will face him at the end of the day. And some of the young men heeded, some did not. I had a public duty as a member of the bar to help people who were less fortunate, who otherwise wouldn't get legal services. If you do something that positively affects just one person, that's a metric that's worth aiming for.
International news now. President Trump's recent discussion with John Roberts regarding the potential statehood of Venezuela marks a bold American first approach to securing the Western Hemisphere. I think he's just trolling, though. By eyeing the nation's $40 trillion oil reserves as the spoils of the successful 2026 mission to oust Maduro, the president is prioritizing long-term U.S. energy independence and economic dominance. This man just loves the troll, you know. While the proposal is a high-stakes move, it frames the rebuilding of Venezuela as a strategic joint venture that would permanently sideline foreign adversaries and solidify American interest in the region. I don't believe that Trump wants to annex Venezuela. I do believe he's going to ensure, or at least attempt to ensure, that democracy is restored in that country and that U.S. assets, the companies and the oil rigs and so forth in that country will be used to benefit America. America is not the ones that invested in the drilling of oil in that country. And then the Chavez administration seized everything, seized all the assets. Go back and do your history, and you will see for yourself. The Venezuelans, basically, not the Venezuelans, but the Chavez party decided, you know what? I don't care how much you invested. We taking it all for ourselves. My response, it's funny, but I wish it wasn't a joke, though. I would love if it happened, but it ain't gonna happen. Too much of international treaties and stuff like that could be violated if that happens. This was my response again. Make Venezuela rich again, rich and great again, while showing the finger to the tribal PNM Trinis and communists in Venezuela who enjoy watching their own citizens endure extreme hardship and political persecution. Because it's just like how the tribal Trinis in Trinidad love to endure hardship under the PNM. Ban their bellies, hold strain, ride bicycles, cook on coal pots, right? Wean off the government once the precious PNM is in power. There are a lot of Venezuelans across there love the autocratic, communist, socialist, Maduro, and now DLC government, you know. It's amazing how politics could play with people's minds to that extent, where they're willing to give up their freedom just to stay loyal to a political party. The South African Parliament said Monday it will establish an impeachment committee to reinvestigate 4-year-old allegations that President Cyril Ramaphosa committed serious misconduct by hiding the theft of more than $500,000 US in cash, which had been stashed in a sofa at his game ranch. Hey, in South Africa, president is one of the biggest tribals and haters of Israel and white America. The judgment will be so sweet if this impeachment ends up being successful. Judgment. God finds his ways to be able to cast a judgment on people. Rest assured about that. All the tribals throughout the world that ignoring the mandate in Romans 11 that says that in the end Israel will be saved and that God never replaced Israel. And that the Apostle John made it clear that he himself is an Israelite from the tribe of Benjamin. So it wasn't spiritual. It wasn't spiritual like the replacement theologists people love to say. He spoke about the physical tribe of Benjamin. And yet, you all ignore that because you despise Israel, modern day Israel. That Ezekiel 38 speaks about as well. God is going to hold you all accountable as well. Trust me. Former Israeli minister, Professor Yuval Steinitz said that before the war, Iran was only months away from being able to produce a nuclear bomb. But after the Israeli and American strikes, Tehran is now years away from rebuilding its nuclear capabilities. And of course, the Kakash media and the CNN propaganda, jihadist media, and Al Jazeera will say that is lies, lies, lies. Because only the terrorists that produce videos showing the atrocities they commit, only the terrorists speak the truth in this world, you know. Satan, and I'm telling you, their father is Satan, the father of lies. According to Steinitz, Israel destroyed major enrichment facilities, weaponization infrastructure, conversion plans, and eliminated key nuclear scientists involved in developing a bomb. He emphasized that the objective of the war was to stop Iran's nuclear program, not regime change. I really hope it was regime change, though. I know the Iranians were hoping that too. Families of the 40,000 Iranians that were massacred by the Ayatollah regime and the IRGC recently, they would have hoped for regime change as well. Steinitz described the campaign as an unprecedented military operation conducted across thousands of kilometers through technological and scientific superiority, calling it one of the clearest victories of the modern era.
Bible quote of the day. Isaiah 53, 10-12. Yet it was the Lord's will to crush him and cause him to suffer, and though the Lord makes his life an offering for sin, he will see his offspring and prolong his days, and the will of the Lord will prosper in his hand. After he has suffered, he will see the light of life and be satisfied. By his knowledge my righteous servant will justify many, and he will bear their iniquities. Therefore I will give him a portion among the great, and he will divide the spoils with the strong, because he poured out his life unto death, and was numbered with the transgressors. For he bore the sin of many, and made intercession for the transgressors.
Folks, that brings us to the end of today's news report. Thanks again to everyone who continues to support my content. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Stay blessed and stay safe, most of all. In Jesus' name.